Hello BookTube, I'm Jonathan and welcome to Words in Time. Now in today's video I'm going to be talking about A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. So what is the premise for this book? Well, A Memory Called Empire follows an ambassador as she travels from an independent station to the Teixcalaan Empire in order to replace her predecessor who died under mysterious circumstances. So while she is there, she needs to navigate a foreign culture, she needs to decipher whom she can trust, decipher their secrets, and protect her own. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about in the book was the language, because it's clear that Martine put a lot of thought and effort into the language used in the book. She created a number of words to describe the technology and the people within the empire. Now, some of these words can be quite long. I'll give you just a couple of examples. Citizens of the empire are called Teixcalaan, and a high-ranking advisor to the emperor is an Teixcalaan. I'll put those on the screen so you can see the spellings. Hopefully I didn't butcher the pronunciations too much. So this is a lot to process at first, but I felt like I got used to it rather quickly. And not only did it do a good job of helping to describe the time period, the technology, but it really conveyed the culture. Because what's interesting about this empire is how important language is to their culture. So just to give you one quick example, when sending a secret message, that message will be encoded with a poem, and the person receiving it has to decipher the poem in order to read the message. So I thought it made it a really interesting and unique culture that I really enjoyed learning about. And I think the way the story is told is quite clever because our main character, the ambassador Mahit, she is an outsider. She's a foreigner, so even though she's studied in it before, she's learning as we are, and we're outsiders as readers ourselves, so we get to learn as she does and kind of make our way through the complexities, the nuances of the way the empire operates. So if that sounds interesting to you, you like the exploring culture and language, there's going to be a lot for you to unpack in this book. So in regard to the plot, I would describe this as a space opera, but I wouldn't necessarily describe it as an epic space opera, simply because it doesn't spend a lot of time exploring the world on a large scale. Rather, it hyper-focuses on a few characters and a few themes. If you're looking for a story with a lot of world hopping, a lot of action, you're not going to find too much of that here. But if you want to really deep dive into a few characters, a few ideas, I think this could be the type of book for you. For me, the pacing moved around at a slow to medium pace throughout the book, depending on where we were, but when it was a little bit slower, for the most part, that didn't really bother me because I really did enjoy what it was exploring, what it was doing at the time. There was just a period, maybe of around 100 pages, right in the middle of the book, where I was still enjoying it, but it started to maybe feel a little repetitive, and I kind of wanted it to start to escalate to something new, which it does do in the final third of the book. Moving on to the characters, I don't want to reveal too much about any individual characters, but we do have a cast of ambassadors, liaisons, advisors, and a big part of the book is getting to know their personalities, their secrets, their motivations. And I really liked these characters as individuals, but what I loved was the relationship dynamics. Constantly trying to figure out, are we allies, are we enemies, or maybe both? There's a great quote in the book, "How nice for us that everyone lies." And I think that's pretty representative of the exchanges that you can get in this book. I think the dialogue is very sharp, it's quite funny at times, and there's a lot of subtext going on pretty much all the time, which makes it hit extra hard when someone finally just cuts to the point with what they really mean. I think a lot of the characters are a little smarter, a little wittier in person than people are in real life, but it kind of makes sense for these particular characters within this particular culture, and it makes them fun to read about. Now, something kind of interesting about the characters in the book is their names. So every person in the empire has a number and then a noun as their name. For example, one of the characters is 3 Seagrass. So I thought it'd be a bit of fun to come up with a Teixcalaan name for myself, and I decided to go with 7 Iron. So 7 is because when I played Aussie rules football when I was younger with two of my best friends, we were randomly assigned the jersey numbers of 7, 14, and 21. So 7 became our lucky number. And iron, for 7 iron, I enjoy playing golf, a bit of a golf name there. I'm decent, about a 10 handicap right now, so about 60% of the time it goes straight every time. And even if the Empire doesn't have golf, even if 7 iron doesn't make sense to them, well, iron just on its own, hey, iron's pretty strong, it's pretty sturdy, it's pretty useful, so hopefully that would be a cool name within the Empire. So have a go yourself. Let me know in the comments, what would your Teixcalaan name be? The next thing I wanted to talk about was the themes, and there's quite a lot going on in this book, but one of the main ones is the exploration of identity. And Martine explores identity, I think, in two main different ways. So the first is how culture affects your identity. So Mahit is a foreigner, and even though she is very knowledgeable of and very much influenced by that culture, she's still away from her home, and we have that feeling of disconnectedness, both physically, emotionally, and culturally, and her trying to find her place, I thought was one of the really interesting and well done aspects of the book on a personal level. And then we also had the exploration of identity through technology. So I won't tell you too much about it, but there is a wonderful piece of technology in this book which can provide a person with information and memories, and seeing how those meld with a person's own perception of themselves, I found to be absolutely fascinating. Made Mahit ask themselves a lot of questions, and it made me ask a lot of questions as well. So definitely some thought-provoking tech within the book as well. So what did I think of the ending? Well, I found the ending to be quite satisfying, and I thought some pieces fell into place quite nicely, although it didn't completely blow me away. I thought it did a pretty good job of wrapping up the story arc from the first book, while also setting up some intriguing things for the second, A Desolation Called Peace. So, putting all of this together into a rating, what's my score for A Memory Called Empire? I'm going to have to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it did a great job of accomplishing what it set out to do, and I think if the story in the sequel can build to some slightly more exciting moments, and it can push some of those ambitious concepts even further, I think that would really take this series to the next level. It is only a duology, but yes, the two books combined I think could end up being something that places pretty highly on my sci-fi lists. This one did sneak in just at the end of the year in December into my top 10 reads of 2021, so I'm excited to see whether Desolation Called Peace can do the same for 2022. So there you go, guys. That's my thoughts on A Memory Called Peace. I think a lot of people are going to like this book. If you are really just looking for kind of pew-pew, shoot-'em-up, explosions in space type sci-fi, this might not be for you, but otherwise I think there's a lot to sink your teeth into. So yeah, let me know if I sold you on it. Let me know if it sounds interesting to you, whether you're going to pick it up, and if you've read it, whether you enjoyed it as much as I did. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, because as always, there's more sci-fi content coming soon.